A lot of talk today, of course, about the nuclear energy. Federal government is forging ahead with their plans, their renewable plan. Opposition has come up with an alternative. But no state governments so far are on board. Now, the Victorian Premier, I mentioned this before, she's labelled nuclear toxic, vowed never to let Victoria become a nuclear state. Although if the people vote for it, I'm not quite sure how she's going to maintain that stance. Let's face it, though, there's no way they could afford to keep out if Dutton went ahead with this. Meanwhile, the opposition leader in Victoria, the lamentable John Pesutto, says it's too early. He had a media conference today, too early to say whether he will back or block the plan. Now, this has caused him a few problems in state parliament in question time today, where the Premier, Jacinta Allan, referenced a Herald Sun column that I wrote 2 weeks ago based on leaked shadow cabinet documents revealing that, in fact, the opposition's policies, Liberal opposition policy in Victoria, actually does endorse nuclear. Here's the Premier.
There are some who we know have a secret plan, although after reading Steve Price's article, perhaps it's not so secret after all, Speaker. Not so secret after all. There are those who have a plan to join arm in arm with their federal Liberal National colleagues to support this nuclear plan. Well, we will stand with Gippsland.
Whoops, poor old John Pesutto. You should have read the column, mate. Now, for more, I'm joined by our Wednesday panel, Shadow Environment Minister, Senator Jonathan Duniam. It's great to have him on, given what's unfolded today, and Senior Fellow at the Menzies Research Centre and a visiting Fellow at the Danube Institute, Nick Cater. Great to have you both with us. Nick, I got to say, and I know I think you're back in Budapest, some pretty weak-kneed reactions from state Liberal leaders on this today. They've really got to man up on this, don't they?
Yeah, they do. Look, I'm back in Budapest and 50% of the electricity that's powering this camera here is coming from a nuclear power plant. So there you go. Look, I just think that this is a clownish debate we're having, particularly at state level, but Chris Bowen is guilty of this too. It's ill-informed, it's based on prejudice, it's based on no facts whatsoever. Now, if Jacinta Allan wants to say no to nuclear, she can do that, but spoiler alert, we know how this story ends, because that's exactly what Angela Merkel did in Germany 12 years ago. The German economy is now in a woeful state. It's losing heavy industry and the car manufacturing at a tremendous rate. It's losing jobs because electricity is the most expensive in Europe. That's what happens if you decide that you can get by without nuclear. And I'm afraid that Jacinta Allan is burying her heads in the sand. Obviously, she doesn't want to go against what Albanese and Bowen are saying, but somebody in Labor surely should have the guts to stand up and say, this is the obvious way forward.